This is WCM's Park Update, a weekly show covering the outdoor hospitality industry, hosted by Ben Quiggle and Mike Gast. During each episode, you'll hear from special guests and campground experts on topics that will help your park flourish. WCM's Park Update is a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine.
Hi, I'm Ben Quiggle, and welcome to another edition of WCM's Park Update, sponsored by Bush Tech Adventures. And of course, my esteemed colleague, Mike Gass, is here, former Vice President of Communications at Campgrounds of America. See, I made it through your title, Mike. And
wow.
Our guest this week is Ali and Eric Rasmussen, co-founders of Spacious Skies Campgrounds. And they are at their park, in their new park in Savannah. It's Spacious Skies Savannah Oaks, right? In Georgia?
That's right.
And you can tell you're in Savannah because you got those beautiful trees in the background.
Gotta love the Spanish moss.
Yeah, we don't have any of those up here in Michigan where I live. So those are awesome trees. So I guess, how long have you guys been in Savannah?
Well, we just got here yesterday. Yesterday was actually our 9-year wedding anniversary. So we are on stop number 11 of 15. We are in the middle of a full Spacious Skies collection road trip where Eric and I are getting on site at every campground and, looking at everything together, talking with all the team members, chatting with guests. And so, we arrived in Savannah last night.
Yeah, that's great. And I know you guys just released your fall tour, which kind of highlights all of your parks. You guys have parks all the way from Maine, now down to Georgia. And it's so you guys have an awesome variety of parks. How many parks are in your system now? It's 15, right?
It's 15. Close. That's right.
15, yeah. See,
and how long did that take? How long did it take you to get to 15?
We had a big growth spurt in the beginning, and then number 15 was just a month shy of 2 years since the first campground.
That's really phenomenal growth at a time when a lot of people are saying it's really hard, to either take over a campground or start something new. And I know you guys go in there with some major plans.
Yes, none of it's been easy. There are a lot of growing pains throughout it. We have, we'll always praise the team members that we have at every level of our organization. I think that by now there's almost 150 folks that work for Spacious Skies Campgrounds. Without every single one of them, we wouldn't be here and doing what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess, what have you guys been doing this summer? I know we're, pretty close to we're at the end of July. So I guess, how have things been at the parks? Have all the parks been really busy? I know up in the Northeast, they've kind of dealt with some wet weather up there, but, how are all of your parks doing?
I would say that for the most part, they are doing, as expected. And I say it that way because all 15 of the campgrounds, are not at the same point in their timeline, I guess. So there are campgrounds that we have, had longer, that things have been gelling more, and we have, worked on all of the things that need worked on, and they are, performing as expected, which is, and as expected is good. There are other campgrounds that are newer to the collection that are exceeding expectations, which is also really positive. And then there are the campgrounds that we, we knew what we were getting into.
We have some large projects we're working on at a few of them.
That's right. And so getting through those projects while also operating, which is intentional, that's, also something to navigate from every angle, not just like, the maintenance and the project side of things, but how you navigate customer service through that. And so, and then weather. So,
yeah.
So I'm guessing the pool of available parks when you first started this was pretty large, and people were maybe a little bit more willing to sell. Is that tightened up some in the last few months?
that is definitely tightened up, Mike, for sure. I mean, we've seen continued impact in the debt markets and interest rates. It's impacted pricing, and we see a lot of sellers that are holding on to 2021, kind of peak performance, peak pricing, and we're seeing the transaction market. It's slow. It's slow right now. We're continuing to see a little bit of a bid-ask spread between seller expectations and what the buyers in the market can practically pay. We're starting to see that narrow. We're starting to see more activity, but it's still definitely been slow the last 6-8 months for sure.
So do you feel like you ever had to overpay a little bit to get the location you wanted?
Overpay. I don't know. I mean, everybody has their own criteria, and valuation is a very subjective exercise. At the end of the day, we have paid and pursued more aggressively for the really kind of core assets, core locations as we view them. We definitely have different pricing spectrum we follow for the different projects. We have a couple in our portfolio. Who knows? The valuations that we paid have all made sense for us. Some of them could we wish we would have paid less? Sure. Some that we could have paid more for? Sure. Kind of the natural ebbs and flows of a portfolio. But I think the overarching point is we're definitely seeing some movement come off of the peaks of 2021 for sure.
Yeah. What about on the financing side? I know it looks like the Fed is going to raise interest rates again here after taking a small pause. I guess, is the capital still there to do like improvements and to purchase parks?
Yeah, I mean, if the transaction is priced appropriately, absolutely, yeah. There are fewer lenders than there were a year ago. The equity markets are tighter. All capital markets are tighter, and there's fewer players, and people are being more selective. But the quality deals that are priced appropriately and the debt is sized appropriately, we haven't had any issues.
Yeah. I know we mentioned the wet weather up in the Northeast. I guess, are campers coming out? Are your parks, on the booking side, are they pretty filled most of the time during the summer right now?
Yeah. I mean, July and August, for the most part, are packed. And we expect that. I think most campgrounds do in most areas. Actually, it's so funny because we're sitting here in Savannah right now where the low season is really July and August when it's so hot. And so, we account for that differently, maybe take on more, monthly guests versus waiting for that overnight activity to come through. But for the majority of the collection, we're in the thick of it. This is the peak season, and even with the weather, people still show up. And then if anything is affecting anything majorly, it's no different than how everybody else has to deal with it on their campgrounds. We actually have had examples in the last week or so where the rain up north was so torrential that we did actually have to do a very rare moving and shuffling of guests from sites that were being affected. So that was new. But I don't think it was unique to just us, of course.
No. Probably not. I had heard, we had some stories of parks that were getting flooded in New Hampshire. Yep. I think there was a couple parks, Connecticut, some of those states through there. But none of your parks got flooded, right? Or
we actually, you said New Hampshire, and one of our locations in New Hampshire got hit hard enough that we had a road washout, and work is being done to repair it, and it will get repaired. But as far as anything catastrophic that you can't address, we've been lucky, and I'm going to knock on this wooden picnic table for that.
So what's the labor market been like? Is it getting better? When you go into a market like Savannah, do you inherit a staff? Do you hire locally? Is it work campers? How do you deal with what's still considered a tight labor market?
Yeah, I would say that it is less tight than it has been, but still, it's still there are challenges. But when we do come into a new park, we try to retain as many team members as possible. It makes things easier because there's the knowledge that they already possess of the campground and how things are run and how the property works is really helpful. So we always try and retain as many folks as possible. And then where that doesn't, work out, when there's not the right fit, we'll recruit. And here, I would say, the majority of our campgrounds, we're going to have a mix of work camper and local. And because of our, 15 locations, we have now a cohort of work campers that want to stay within the Spacious Skies system, and we can move folks around who are interested in work camping in another location. So that's been really great for us to see.
Yeah. So we did some hiring episodes a couple months ago. We had Glenna Heck from K. She's a really good speaker. I generally see her at the K-Way convention, but she's really good on human resources. How do you recruit? Like, are you finding it easier to find people with experience to help run a park, or is that something you really have to fish for, I guess?
I think that we're starting to get better at it, in that our brand is, it's gelling a little bit more. It's developing. It's more starting to become a little bit recognized in the space. And so the caliber of our candidate is definitely increasing, which is really wonderful. But it's funny that you bring up recruiting. We are at the headquarter level, like, examining everything, as we always do, but recruiting specifically, we're trying to figure out how we can, reword job descriptions, or put more like resources sort of out there to paint a better, clearer picture of the jobs that we are recruiting for, so that it's already filtering, to a candidate that's going to be a better fit before they get deeper into that interview process. And I think that has been the challenge, is just filtering, because volume, it's not the issue. We get a ton of applicants, a ton. And it's just filtering from there. Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
So going back a couple of years and looking at your growth, are you where you thought you were going to be? Are you a little bit behind, a little bit ahead?
We are in a completely different place than we thought we would be. The initial business plan was a cute little 4 or 5 campground portfolio, passively, having a third party manage them and sort of being on the sidelines. And that literally changed the day that we purchased Walnut Grove, our first campground. So it looks way different, and we're, I think, more proud of what we have built instead.
Why did that change when you purchased Walnut Grove? I guess when you purchased that park, what made you decide, oh, this isn't going to work?
Well, I would say that our expectation of what third-party management is, based on our experience in other forms of real estate and other asset classes, did not meet the expectation. And we closed on Walnut Grove, and that day I realized that I needed to manage the campground myself, and it was a surprise. And so, because of that experience and that crash course that I unintentionally took, we saw what was possible, and we saw that we could have, more control over things. And that's really why we decided to launch our own property management company instead, because we knew we could do it and we could run things in a way that we would feel was better.
So the follow-up question there, how long can you do that? I mean, this wasn't the original plan. I'm sure your lifestyle changed quite a bit. Is this sustainable as you grow more parks?
It is.
Yeah, and we think it becomes more sustainable with more scale.
That's right. Yeah, we we were able to develop our property management company, and we had a capital infusion at the start so that we could build things out full collection, full portfolio, and now we're at the point where we can look at it again and see, all right, what are the gaps in the org chart that we need to fill, and look at it from there. But yeah, as Eric said, with scale, it actually becomes easier.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
are you ready to march west yet?
We will march west. Right now, we're definitely focusing on the East Coast still and trying to fill in the gaps in the current the road trip, the perfect road trip that we have created here. But yeah, to get us to go further west, we'd like to see more than one deal that sort of makes sense, so that we could create a region right off the bat. But we also think there's a lot of different ways that we could grow from here on out, which is not just acquisitions and then managing them ourselves. We have a lot of exciting plans in the works.
Any plan to start from scratch on bare ground?
Not yet. That is one plan not made, but we're certainly exploring very seriously what it would look like to partner with existing campground owners in a variety of ways.
Franchise?
It is very seriously being explored.
We ask all the hard questions on the show. So
Yeah.
We pry a lot.
Pry away.
Yeah, right. We'll take a break real quick to recognize our sponsor, Bush Tech Adventures, and we'll be right back.
No, ma'am. This is a 5-star establishment. We do not have tents.
Another one.
Another one.
With bespoke modern design, state-of-the-art craftsmanship, and only the finest quality materials, Bush Tech Safari manufactures tents that take luxury to the next level. A true combination of 5-star luxury and a 5 billion star experience.
Tents.
Better, best, Bush Tech.
Hi, welcome back to WCM's Park Update, sponsored by Bush Tech Adventures, and we're talking with Ali and Eric Rasmussen, the co-founders of Spacious Skies Campgrounds. And, the eclipse is coming up. I think you have several parks that are pretty close to that line of totality. I know you're very good at planning, Ali. You do like a spring flower thing. You do a fall thing. I have to imagine you're planning to do stuff for the eclipse to some degree.
To some degree, we are. Unfortunately, the two campgrounds that are directly in the path of totality are our most northern campgrounds that they're not great in April. We typically open those up, mid-May or after. So we're trying to think creatively about those two locations, seeing what we could do for the most adventurous folks that would be willing to come dry camp on a campground in the Adirondacks or in Central Maine. But we still think that it's going to be interesting for campers at every one of our locations, and we're going to come out with a campaign that showcases what the eclipse will look like at every campground, because it's still going to be interesting. So we'll come up with that.
Well, don't invite Ben, because I guarantee you wherever he is, it's going to be raining.
No.
Pretty much.
You bring the rain?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, and there's always a possibility, I guess, even if you didn't do camping, maybe you could open the park to day passes or bring people in to look at it. I don't know. Yes. I know a lot of communities are just looking for places where people can see the eclipse versus the side of the road, I guess. So
right. Just to gather. Absolutely.
So another one of our favorite topics here is e-vehicles and what the future for charging stations is. obviously that's got to be in your plans somewhere.
We have some about to be installed as we speak. Up in New Hampshire is our first test location. We're adding dedicated EV charging stations to a handful of our sites, and testing it there. And I think that's something, I think we share that view, that long-term view. I think it's something we're exploring and probably rolling out portfolio wide.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Do you notice people with EVs coming into your parks?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we do.
Do you
And
guys meter
sort of
for
along the same
electricity
lines,
at a
we
lot of
are
your
also
parks?
very
Or what's that look like?
curious about
Did they
the
freeze, Mike?
the
I think we
meter
froze them.
reading. Oh no, are we
There
frozen?
you go.
Oh,
No,
there
you're
you go.
good. You're back.
You're good. You're back.
So we are also looking into the the technology that would allow us to read meters, the electric meters and the water meters from afar. So there's a couple big players in the game, and we're looking into that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Is that something that you see pretty high costs in, like electricity and water usage and things?
Electricity. Yeah, I mean, electricity is one of the larger ongoing utility expenses we have. Water, not so much, unless we're on a municipal system, which is the exception at many locations.
Yeah. And is like, I know not all of your parks are open year round. How many of your parks are open all year?
I think it's about half.
Yeah.
Everything that is south of Virginia is, with one exception, but we're considering what it might look like to test out one section open all year in the Blue Ridge Mountains. But then we also have one year-round campground in New Hampshire.
So what do you do to lock in a camper to your collection? How do you get them to stay more with you? Is there rewards programs, special rates, special deals? How do you make it gel?
Absolutely. I mean, we come out with a lot of different discounts and campaigns and promotions that tie to certain things, tie to even like the themed weekend that week. But we, most importantly, have our loyalty program that we launched earlier in February. We call our loyalty program members Cosmic Campers, and this is it's an annual fee of $31.90. That was the launch fee, and then in return you get 12% off all of your short-term stays. So we have found that has been really effective. I mean, we're nearing the 1,000 member mark as we speak, just having launched in February. So it's really resonating with people, and we wanted to launch it. We had to work around some tech limitations, but our developer nailed this initial structure of it. So it's very straightforward, annual fee, and then discounts every time you book. And we're exploring, what other perks we can offer. Everybody gets a Cosmic Camper sticker and pin if you're a Cosmic Camper, and so you feel like you're a member of something.
Yeah, definitely. How did you come up with the Cosmic Camper thing?
like how we tied into outer space.
Yeah.
So that is something that we have been really intentional about with the Spacious Skies brand is putting more of a focus on the nighttime sky and like the evening part of camping where you're stargazing and you're around your campfire and maybe you've got a guitar out, and that's really what we have leaned into for the look and the feel of our brand. And so we're leaning into that outer spacey type of feel. So we've got, Cosmic Camper, that's our little astronaut. And it's our team members are called Cosmic Crew. It's been really fun to develop the brand that way.
So what's the hot amenity that you've had to add to your parks as you purchased them that just wasn't there, but campers are demanding?
I would say jumping pillow is the one that we bring in where it isn't, that is super popular, but also our gem mines. We have installed gem mines everywhere, and wow, they're just so popular. And it's not just for kids either. If you are an adult that is a gemstone appreciator or a fossil appreciator, you know what kind of deal you're getting when you're purchasing a $20 bag of sand filled with gemstones that could be, $10, $12, $15 plus each. So it's really fun for everybody.
Yeah. What about on the accommodation side? When you buy a park, when you go in and look at it, what's the accommodation unit, I guess, that you really like to add at these parks, maybe if they don't have it?
We haven't done too much on adding accommodations yet. We are, still within that 3-year ramp up for every one of our campgrounds, where we're assessing demand, assessing the customer, sometimes turning the customer. And so we're looking ahead and likely going to start making more of those decisions next year and the year after.
We're looking to make a lot of those decisions 2024, roll them out 2025. I mean, right now, as Ali said, we're focusing on learning the locations, learning how the local markets perform and function, and just getting to know the assets before we make those types of decisions. And right now, obviously, RV is our primary business, and just continuing to focus on the core of our business. And then again, as we learn the locations, we'll start to roll out different accommodation units. We have obviously cabins at all or most of our locations. We've added new retro camping campers to the various locations.
Yeah, that's been the lodging edition that we have made in 4 locations. But it's sort of a hybrid, right? It is intended to bring in the RV curious. So it's this cute little retro Instagrammable camper, and you go and you see what it's all about, and then hopefully you go to your local dealership and pick one up yourself.
What about glamping? Is glamping in the future?
Oh, absolutely. And we have a couple campgrounds that have what we would consider glamping units. Our Adirondacks location and our Shenandoah Valley location most notably have yurts, and they're very popular, very popular. And we also have some little acorn type cabins at the Tennessee location, Bill Ridge, that we consider glamping, and those are pretty popular as well. And so we anticipate adding glamping units, but just to the mix, just to sort of diversify the site mix a bit.
Speaking of diversity, as somebody who lived through KOA's efforts to diversify their brand into those 3 different Journey Holiday Resort situations, do you see that in your future too, that your campground offerings are going to get so diverse that you do need to split the brand a little?
It's definitely possible. I think that as we look ahead at how we grow, the various ways that we could grow and put the Spacious Skies brand out there, I think our requirements are they're pretty basic right now. We, number one, really focus on the natural beauty of a location, of a campground. We want to feel like we are camping. We are at a campground. We're not trying to be a camping resort. So that can be found, really in a rural area, or it can be found off the highway 5 miles. So that's really our focus on how we want our campgrounds to look and feel. But never say never, of course. If we need to segment, we would.
You need a spaceship glamping cabin, like one that's like a UFO or something.
We do. We do need a spaceship. You're right.
Maybe you need to borrow one from the U.S. government. Supposedly they have a bunch. So
call them right up.
Yeah. So well, I think that's about all the time we have for the show, but it's been great getting to see you, Ali and Eric, and I mean, it's amazing what you guys are doing with Spacious Skies. So
and we'll check in again when you hit 20, 25, 30.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
So like in 3 months.
It would be our pleasure.
So, but it's been great getting to check in with you, and thanks for coming on the show. And thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see everyone next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for listening to WCM's Park Update, a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine. Join us for a new show each Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn for daily news and updates, and subscribe to our news feed on our website at woodallscm.com. Show hosts are Ben Quiggle and Mike Gast. Executive producers Rick Kessler and Alex Burkett. Copyright 2022, G&G Media Group.